and basically guarding a lot of their evil things that they got human beings involved in. Basically, this was the mothership, as it's well known, Flaminia ship. When we come to learn about this area, is that the reason why they fogged out or put a lot of electrostatic in terms of the scenes around this area was because of all the gold that was around that area. There was so much gold in that area that it's just mind-numbing to think about in terms of your imagination. To see the gold that clearly from all the way up in the sky shows you that there wasn't like bars of gold down there. You can consider like almost like a halfway of a mountains of gold down there. There was gold nuggets and rocks and mountain-shaped rocks of gold down there. I kid you not. Like basically a gold nugget that's something like 10 miles high, and just scattered all around where this mothership was abandoned. And it really blows me away, because it kind of shows you that they were using a lot of gold, a lot of resources, and then it's also showing you that God placed a lot of those resources on other planets too. And so what we have there was basically it was a hot area, and that's why Apollo 20 was needed, and that's why the other missions that they did led up to Apollo 20, because they wanted to get that gold, that technology, they wanted that area. And so it's very shocking. This is to show you how big that ship was. I mean, it's huge. This was the harbor point of New York City, the Manhattan area. And if you look at some of the largest buildings that are in the world, they're nowhere near as big as this ship. And that's saying quite a bit. This thing is absolutely huge. It was so big that you were able to put about a half a city of people in it. And just massive, just very, very big. And it's kind of showing you that the top part of it, or the hill part of it, was actually made in gold. So it's really it's very powerful stuff there. Alright, so what we're looking at here is called, first of all, from what I understand, it's an old world structure, and it had something to do with basically a meeting ground place, if you will. If you ever gone to an airport, usually the first thing you go to when you go to the airport is that you go to the airport building. That's what this was. Basically, it was a place where people gathered when they were about to take off. The Germans discovered the ruins of it, and so what the Germans did is that they basically remodeled it. And when they remodeled it, they used it as a base of headquarters when they were extracting resources off the moon, and when they were building an underground base on the moon. So years later, after the Germans built the base, they abandoned this post. And when they abandoned this post, basically they went underground. And then years later, the astronauts came here, and when they came to this specific area, what the Apollo 11 mission was about was to spy on the base, on the moon base of the Illuminati. And not just spy on this base, they were also supposed to take resources off that area. Apollo 11's mission was to do reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is that you're going to film an entire area. You're going to spy on it, basically. And you're going to find out what's there. You're going to find out what you can pull off real quick. What kind of tactics you can do through the surveillance of the area. And that's what they basically did. They were assessing what they can and cannot do. And they were assessing what was there. And so that's what this whole Apollo 11 mission was about. It was about filming the ruins, filming the resources, assessing what you can do. And so that's what basically was going on here. And what we're looking at with this structure is that it's a very huge structure, by the way. It's a two-story structure, but it's very long, it's very wide. And when you go directly into what they're doing here is they're going into the front door, basically. And when you get a very good look at it, you start to see what I basically mean here. You can basically see there was a time where basically what you're looking at is the inside of an airport, if you will, but a space-age airport. There was a time where people would be, well, basically they'd be lined up over here, over here, and you got these other buildings and other rooms where people basically would have had their office, if you will, and there was more to this structure. A lot of it was destroyed, but there would have been a lot of technology around it. So by the time the Germans got to it, the Germans would have just remodeled it, put some new structures on it to hold the building up and things like that. Once it was abandoned, that was it. So you'll notice some things about the walls of the building. You notice that they're very bright. You notice that when they come in with the camera, it seems like the whole thing seems to illuminate. It has a lot to do with basically the walls. The walls are made out of alabaster. Alabaster makes things glow, kind of like marble does. And so, from what I understand, this structure was a combination of alabaster and marble, and kind of like a white stone, if you will. And so that's why it has a very type of eerie glow. This is one of the astronauts walking. We believe this was Buzz, actually, with Armstrong filming. And if you take a good look, you notice some things here. You can see kind of what I'm talking about. You can see how this is an old world structure with some new structures in it. But this is kind of like an old world kind of line, if you will. It's a place where people wind up. And the more and more you get a very good look at it, you'll notice these archways. Archways are places where people would gather. They'd be coming in and going out. And you'll notice some other things. You look at these beams across right here. You'll notice that some of these beams are attached to the old structure, which is to hold it up. And you'll notice the ground is very broken up, and that has a lot to do with the destruction that the building went through, or was basically hit with, a long time ago. And you'll notice now he's filming another room, which is here, and he's about to go right into that room. And so what he's doing is that he's just walking along it, and you start to notice some rocks, blocks, and things that have been broken apart. You'll notice here also how it's one room here, rooms here. You'll notice how it looks very much like a big giant office building. And that's kind of what you got to really put into here, is that is what you're looking at. Is that you're looking at a building that had an administrative function. And even in the old world, it had an administrative function. And when the Germans took this land, they made it also into an administrative function. And then until after a while, that was pretty much it. And so that's what you're just looking at here. You're looking at a building that used to house very advanced technology, and then the Germans used it, and the Americans spied on it and walked in there and wanted to get a very good look at what's inside there. From what I understand, there was circuit boards that were left around in there. There were metal pieces as well. So basically, they collected all the circuit boards and all the metal pieces, all that type of resources they can carry back with them while filming the rest of the structure is what they did. And pretty soon you'll see that when they're digging up these metal pieces into piles. And so you're looking at more of the structure. What he's basically doing now, he's getting more closer near the ruins of the structure. Now as you see what he's doing, take a very good look at what he's doing. He's looking at the ground because he's noticing that there's metal pieces on this ground. So that's what he came for. And so he's looking around to see what he can pile up. Just getting a very good look at it, at the whole thing. So now you see him walking over it. And if you're wondering why they walk so smoothly over it, that has a lot to do with the uniforms they're wearing. They wear things that are about like 200 pounds, and with the shoes have a very strong adhesive, so it feels like bouncing. But they're not bouncing because of the atmosphere, they're bouncing because of the shoes that they're wearing. And if you look very good at it, you notice how the structure's missing a floor here. You notice how with this building, the entire top floor that should be like a ceiling on top of them is not there because that has been wrecked, destroyed. And so only some part is holding up in the back while the front part has been basically gutted. And so this is just more of that. You see these beams here, and then you see these archway beams that I keep I want to keep mentioning it to you. You see more arch beams here and more arch beams here. And that's just to tell you, that it was an administrative building. And people would have been lined up here, they would have been lined up here, they would have been going into another building here, getting their papers or getting prepared for flight. Then they come out of the building, and then if you notice, right at the very far end of this building, that's about maybe a mile off,